When Chevrolet invited Digital Trends to try out their new Cruze diesel hatchback, I have to admit my first question was, why? I mean, why are we talking about diesel? First of all, diesel has a horrible reputation right now. And secondly, almost every other auto manufacturer is pushing to roll out an all-electric or at least electrified lineup in just a few years. And it's not like Chevy can't make a good electric car either. I mean, they make the Bolt, which is one of the better ones out there today. Nevertheless, I was curious, so I took them up on their offer to take this Cruze and join an SCCA road rally throughout Alaska's wilderness. Not only to see what the car was all about, but I guess in a larger sense, to see what's at stake. The name Chevrolet Hatch Diesel pretty much spells out what you're getting. A hatchback version of Chevy's Economy Compact, which runs on a diesel-powered engine. It's a segment-exclusive model which neatly answers part of our why diesel question, because nobody else is doing it. The long-range Bolt EV may be the most attractive of Chevy's offerings for those who think green, but it doesn't exclude the automaker from filling the vacuum that VW's Scanzel created. In fact, to avoid the same fate, Chevrolet worked extensively with the EPA so that everything about the diesel powertrain was above board. The Cruze diesel complies with the new Tier 3 emission standards. What that boils down to is that, as far as the EPA is concerned, the Cruze diesel has the same greenhouse gas rating as its gas-powered counterpart. The diesel engine itself is a 1.6-liter turbo 4-cylinder that can either be married to a 6-speed manual or a 9-speed automatic. The engine has been engineered to make the most out of its fuel of choice, maximizing low-end torque and squeezing as many miles out of each gallon. Drivers will have 137 horsepower and 240 pound-feet of torque on hand, with a promise of 30 mpg in the city and 45 mpg on the highway. Skipping the more Spartan offerings, the hatch diesel is available in the LT trim. Adding the RS package gives the Cruze a rear spoiler at the top, front fog lamps, a few body kit accents to make it a little bit more aggressive, and 18-inch machined wheels. The 7-inch screen is home to Chevy MyLink, though it does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay compatibility, something we found ourselves using more often than not. The extra devices we weren't using for that were connected to the OnStar 4G LTE, and we let them battle it out to see who'd provide a usable map. It was surprising that in some instances the car's reception was able to eke out a bar or two. This was critical as we try to make heads or tails of the road rally's directions, and I use that word very loosely. In essence, the road rally's goal was to arrive at certain checkpoints as close to a particular time and mileage as possible. This was very much a two-man operation, and Dan the cameraman found himself on the other side of the lens, making sure we didn't end up lost in the wilderness.
It's fine. Alright,
Okay.
so let's turn right.
So, are we turning right?
Turn right onto East Pioneer Road.
We just came from there.
Yeah, but we were in the wrong spot.
The journey from Anchorage to Homer, located at the end of Alaska's Kenai Peninsula, is a particularly long trip. The rally would take us through Chugach National Forest, down to Seward, then doubling back for a stretch as we made our way along the Cook Inlet. It would turn out to be a great way to take in Alaska's natural splendor, as well as put the Cruze's comfort and range to the test. It's safe to say that the Cruze looks like it's more fun than it actually is to drive. Any attempts to push this car out of its parameters were met with resistance. The RS bits might help give the hatchback a look that says, "This isn't my mom's car," but underneath, the car's characteristics don't lend themselves to spirited play. The 240 pound-feet of torque the motor can muster up is available at the low end of the revs, which is good, but prepare to deal with that torque's desire to steer if you lead-foot it. The 9-speed gearbox in the automatic is also a joyless chaperone when it comes to having a good time. It will very quickly upshift out of a gear for the sake of efficiency, and there's no way to manually override it. If you're still not discouraged by the time you encounter a windy road, the handling isn't very inspiring. At the end of the day, any back roads that offered an opportunity to break up the sightseeing with a little gusto just went to waste. Stay in line though, and the Cruze does exactly what it promises. Our highway stretches saw us average 40 miles per gallon easily, and even times when our attempts to navigate the road rally's directions led to more erratic, stop-and-go driving, we didn't see our average sink below 35 mpg. In a vacuum, the hatchback ticks a lot of boxes. It's not bad looking. It's spacious enough for people and gear, and it's easy to drive on both daily commutes and long hauls. It lacks thrills, but for the price, it's very hard to ignore. Throw in the fact that you can eke out hybrid-like efficiency on the diesel, and you've got a solid all-rounder for young and old buyers alike. And yet, even with the car's emissions being on the level, hitting the EPA standards, and being thoroughly scrutinized, it's very hard to get over the fact that once you say diesel, its stock drops. Spending time in Alaska's overwhelmingly stunning scenery makes it easy to see why people get up in arms over the subject. This iteration of Chevrolet's Cruze hatch probably won't convert anyone ill at ease with diesel, but anyone indifferent of the fuel's current PR status has a very solid option that they didn't have before. The hatchback is available in dealers now, and if you decide to drive one off the lot, we recommend taking the scenic route home.